is it fine if I speak without microphone? Can you hear me? Or do you want me to use the microphone?
Microphone.
Better like this, yes?
Yeah.
All right. In 2006, 10 years ago, I was just graduating from university. I decided to go to live in South America, in Santiago de Chile. I arrived there with nothing. I had no money, I had no contact, nothing. Just a little luggage. I remember I didn't even know where to sleep the first night. So I took a taxi at the airport and I asked him to bring me to a very simple hotel. I was quite surprised because the hotel was very, very simple. Actually, there was no iPhone at the time. There was no live GPS to know where you would stay. And my objective was to sell investments. I wanted to sell all kinds of investments. Real estate, business, wine, art, oil even, if that would be possible. After a few weeks, I was already in touch with some wealthy business people. And after a few months, I had an amazing opportunity. I was about to meet potentially the biggest client of my life. He was one of the richest men in the country. He owned a bank, he owned newspapers, hotel, casino. I felt like a very lucky man. So when I arrived at his office, from the outside, the office was like a big tower in Santiago de Chile, like a New York skyscraper. But on the inside, on the last 2 floors, it was like an ancient medieval castle. To get access to this man, I had to introduce myself to a first receptionist, and then a second receptionist, and then a first assistant, and then a second assistant that brought me to a private elevator. And here I was, in his huge office with this beautiful view on all the city. I spoke first. When you're young, you always think you have to speak first in a business meeting. But when you get older, you know you have to listen first. I spoke about investment for about 10 minutes. And when I was finished, he asked me a very simple question. How do you know when you have a good investment opportunity? Of course, I gave him several answers, but none of them satisfied him. It's only a few years later that I understood why my answers were all not that convincing. Today, I will help you to answer this very simple question. How to make the right investment decision? With this very wealthy man, after 30 minutes, the phone rang and the meeting was over. Here we are. How to make the right investment decision? Let me first introduce myself in a few words. I've been advising wealthy people for the past 10 years. My clients are usually very wealthy businessmen that live in several countries. I'm also teaching at this Russian Presidential Academy a class on investment strategies. And on the side, but interesting note, I've started here in Moscow the first forum and exhibition for foreigners living here. And by the way, if some of you are in Moscow next year, the next one will be in April in front of Gorky Park in the Central House of Artists. You're all welcome. So my clients usually call me when they have money to invest or when they have an investment decision to make and they don't know which investment to choose. Actually, investment is one of the 2 questions where everybody has an answer. The other question is, what's going to be the weather tomorrow? Usually people come to you and say, oh, I know it's going to be sunny, it's going to be raining. And if people are right, the next day they come to you and they say, I told you it would be raining. If they're not right, usually they forgot. They told you what's going to be the weather. It's the same thing for investment. People tell you you should invest in gold, you should invest in real estate, you should invest in the dollar and the euro. When they're right, they told you, I told you so. But when they're wrong, they stop speaking. Luckily for us, they are professionals of both those jobs. So my objective today, in the time we have, is to give you a concrete methodology on how to make the right investment decision. Knowledge will be useful if you're able to use it in the future, right? People that have knowledge actually can answer a question on how to do this, how to do that, how to make the right investment decision. But you should ask yourself the question of the why. So ask yourself now, why are you here? Why do you do what you're doing now? You're here, obviously, because you want to be here. You're here because you're curious. You're here because you want to learn new things. But ask yourself, what do you want to achieve in your life? Why do you really want it? What is your ultimate goal? This is important, and you will see throughout the presentation. It reminds me actually a story of a friend of mine that is an ambassador. The story takes place in Washington, D.C., right after the Dominique Strauss-Kahn scandal. Dominique Strauss-Kahn, if some of you are not familiar, was at the time the director of the IMF, and he got involved in a sex scandal. So a journalist from CNN interviewed the French ambassador and asked him, what do you want as a present for Christmas? The French ambassador replies, well, I am an ambassador. As an ambassador, I cannot accept any present. The journalist was insistent, and the French ambassador, maybe because of the Strauss-Kahn affair, finally decided to give a shy answer. Okay, I would like a small box of chocolate. The day of Christmas arrives, and the French ambassador completely forgot about this story. And he's watching TV, and he's watching the TV show where he answered the question. And the journalist starts by asking question to the German ambassador, and then the English ambassador, and then the French ambassador. So the German ambassador replies, I would like economic development for Europe. The English ambassador replies, I would like peace for the world. And the French ambassador, I would like a small box of chocolate. Beware of why you want what you want. So what is an investment, and why investing? There are basically two reasons why we want, all of us, to invest. The first reason is because one day you will want to use your investment. Maybe you want to buy yourself a house. Maybe you want to travel around the world in a boat. Maybe you just want to make your family financially safe. But you will have to use this investment. And the second reason why we have to invest is because we have no choice. Money is depreciating all the time by an economic phenomenon called inflation. So if you do not use your money, if you do not invest, money will lose its value. So you will lose purchasing power with time. So actually, you have no choice. So what is an investment? Let's start with a very simple example. In your opinion, are those investments? Is an apple an investment?
Yes.
Who thinks yes? Who thinks no? Yes. Who thinks yes? And who thinks no? What about a car? Is a car an investment? Who thinks yes? And then I will ask you why after. Who thinks a car is not an investment? Why? Who thinks it depends on the car? What about gold? Who thinks gold is an investment? Okay, should have everybody here, I hope. Who think gold is not an investment? Good. Let's continue. A painting. Who thinks a painting is an investment? Who thinks a painting is not an investment? Who thinks it depends on the painting? Flowers. An investment? Depends on the flower. If it's a rose, it depends who you offer it to. Maybe. What about education? Is education investment?
Greatest.
Sure.
Actually, that's good that you understand that. That would be, dramatic if you were here and you were not thinking it's an investment. When you think about money, there are only two things you can do. You can use it now, or you can use it in the future, right? If you use it now, you're spending money. If you use it in the future, you're saving money. The definition of investment is the following. It's the renouncement of immediate consumption in the prospect of future benefit. So let's go back, in other words, to an apple. If I do not use the apple letter, what's going to happen? The apple is going to rot. So it's probably not an investment. A car, as we said, well, it depends on the car, because if I have this kind of car, if I use it now, probably in a few years, the car is not going to worth a lot of money. And if I have a 1964 E-Type Jaguar, which are not so many of left, it's probably a good investment. Gold, we had a clear case from the beginning. For the painting, it's the same thing as for the car. Of course, if you, and I don't know if you're good at painting, but I'm not, if you or I paint something, well, there is a very low chance that we manage to make it an investment, right? But if you have this painting, who knows which painting is it? I say who painted it, I said which one? Starry Night, I don't know. Flowers, we are exactly in the same case as an apple. If I don't use the flower now, I have no flowers. I'm not talking about flower business or apple business, I'm talking about the flower, so it's not an investment. And education obviously is an investment, because what would you do if you were not studying now? You would probably be working, all right? So you accepted not to earn money now because you wanted to get more knowledge in the prospect of a future benefit. Okay. Why are there conflicting views on investment? There are conflict about investment because money is a scarce resource. We have a limited quantity of it. There are conflict of investment because there are several choices of investment and several risks. And we have conflicting views on investment because we don't know the outcome. So this raises internal conflict all the time. We have to decide. Let's take the example of investing in a business. That would be clear and simple for everybody. Does someone here wants to create his business one day? 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, about 20 maybe. Okay. Does someone here already has a business idea? One.
Idea?
Few.
Idea or
business itself?
An idea. Maybe more than an idea. If you have more than an idea, it's even better. Okay. Let's say someone comes to us and has an idea, and the only thing he needs is money. All right. Let's say the idea is food delivery business. Usually when we're thinking about food delivery business, we're thinking about pizza and sushi. And do you know why pizza and sushi are the most popular food delivery business? Almost.
really?
Because they're easy to eat, but difficult to make. You're not going to make a pizza that easy at your place. You're not going to make sushi that easy. But they're easy to eat at the same time and easy to share. So people are bringing us value. That's interesting. So let's say someone comes with a food delivery business. And my idea would be, a food delivery business where not somebody bringing us sushi or pizza, but very high quality food, like chef plate made by a restaurant, but not as expensive as a restaurant. So this person comes and says, we need you to invest in our business. All right? By the way, do you know what is the most important quality to be a successful business creator? perseverance. Never give up. I have actually a story to share with you again. Who here knows who is Niccolo Paganini? That's good. So, Niccolo Paganini, for those who don't know, was a very famous and very well-gifted violinist of the 19th century. His most memorable concert was in Italy with a full orchestra. He was showing his incredible technique, and the crowd was amazed. Toward the end of the concert, one string of his violin snapped and hung. Paganini stood, shook his hand, and continued playing. To everyone's surprise, a second string snapped and hung. And then the first string snapped and hung from the Stradivarius. Paganini stood there, and instead of leaving the stage, he stood his ground, and he calmly completed the difficult number on the one remaining string. Never give up, whatever the circumstances. Let's come back to the business investment. Obviously, you already have gathered information about this person coming with this business for us to invest. We have the business plan, we have the marketing strategy, we have the financial statement, we have everything we need to decide. The only thing he needs is money. So the business owner comes and says, you need to invest in my business. And you reply, how much do you need? Well, I need 100,000. Oh, 100,000, here it is. He says, thank you, and give us 10% of the business. The deal is made, and they live happy for the rest of their life. Well, that's not what's going to happen in real life. Here's what's going to happen. In real life, you need to make sure this is the right investment choice. In order to do so, you need to know where is the value creation, you need to know what is the market, and you need to know what are the main risks of the investment, which is called due diligence. It sounds like a very simple formula. Value, market, and risks. This is what you need to know. Therefore, let's answer those three questions. What is value creation? What is a growing market? And what is due diligence? Let's start with value. Understanding value creation. What is value? Well, looking at the world today, value is what everybody is trying to achieve. It's everywhere. It's what the world wants most than everything else. In one simple word, value creation could be defined as progress. Okay? There are financial approximation of the value creation. This is, for example, the GDP, the gross domestic product of a country, which gives us an idea of value creation. And before to try to understand value creation, we need to try to understand how to measure value. How to measure value? Is value objective or subjective? If value is objective, it means that the value of a product is the sum of the work we put in it. If value is subjective, it means that the value of a product is determined by the mind of the people. If value is objective, we need someone to tell us the price. If value is subjective, we need a lot of people to tell us the price of a product. So raise your hand if you think value is objective, and raise your hand if you think it's subjective. Objective. Few. Who thinks value is subjective? More people. To answer this question, let's answer to a simple question. What is the price of a bottle of water? A bottle of water. Here it's free.
Depends on the place.
Depends on the place. But it's fair to say that between $50, to speak in dollar, and $2-3, right? Like being a very large assessment of the bottle of water. But what if you're in the desert, it's very warm outside, You have no water. Your life depends on it. Somebody comes and say, here is 1 bottle of water. But hey, here is the trick. It costs $500. I bet you would buy it.
Yeah.
Me too. I'll probably sell it. The reason is because the value of this bottle of water is higher than the price. And the reason why he's selling it is because the value is lower than the price. And this is true for all transactions. I sell something when I think the price is higher than the value, and I buy something when I think the value is higher than the price. Therefore, we have all different idea of value because we have all different priorities. And this is why value is something that is subjective. Let's try to understand value creation. And to do that, let's start from the scratch. Let's picture ourselves Robinson Crusoe on his island. He is alone. He just arrived. He doesn't remember anything from his past life. He has nothing to do all day. And he starts to get hungry. There is a forest behind him. You cannot see because of the picture. But there is a forest, and there is the ocean. So he's thinking, my best option to eat every day is to fish. So he goes in the water, he stands there, and he tries to catch a fish. It will be like this. So finally, toward the end of the day, he catches one. And the next day, and then he catches one, he goes back to his little part of the island where he decided to settle down, eats the fish, and the next day, he does the same process. And again and again and again. That would be his daily routine. Waking up, go to the ocean, try to catch a fish. Catching a fish is probably getting better every day. Going to eat the fish, sleeping and repeating everything. If we were to calculate his total asset, the total value of everything he owns, because he has nothing else, it would be the following. In the morning, he would have nothing, then he would catch one fish, so that would be the value of everything he owns would be 1, and then he would eat the fish, probably faster than in the picture. And for the rest of his life, he would wake up every day, go fishing, eat the fish, and repeat it again and again and again. So the value of his total asset would never go above 1. But let's say that one day, during his sleep, he's thinking about a new idea. What if, with the lianas from the trees, I would build a fishing net? That way, I would be able to catch more fishes. That would be improving my life, right? So in order to do so, he understands that he needs a full day of work to catch one fish, and then he would need another full day to build the fishing net. So he has to catch 2 fishes in one day. But since his technique is improving, we can say fairly that that would happen one day. That would be the representation of his total asset again. Wake up in the morning, fish, and then eat the fish, go sleeping, having a very great idea. And then the next day, one day, he finally catch 2 fishes, and he say, okay, I will eat 1 fish today because I'm starving and I really want to eat my own fish. And I keep 1 for tomorrow. And tomorrow I will build the fishing net. We understand already that what he did here was saving 1 fish aside. This is the economic term. He didn't use it now. He kept it for later. He saved 1 fish. And we understand also that the fishing net it's innovation, by the way, and will bring him more fishes in the future. So it's a productive asset, right? So the fact is that he used his saving possibility to improve his life situation. If we were to represent again his total asset for the rest of his life, he would use the fishing net. That would probably decrease in value with time, and he would have to build again a new one in the future. And little by little, he would increase his number of saved fish, so he would have more time. Obviously, very fast, he would come to a new problem. It's like he has 20 fish aside, and after a few days, the fish start to smell like a fish after a few days, which is not a very good smell. So he would try to think about new innovation. Maybe he would think about building a fishing pond, where he would put all the fish he caught during the past few days. That would be the innovation, and the invention of fish farming. Of course, not all innovation work. I mean, he could have been building a fishing net that would be too large to catch any fishes, right? But the process of value creation always follows the same pattern. You have an idea. The idea will use some of your saving. That would be concrete saving, like the fish, which would, in an industrialized society, be money. And it would use also your time, which is also saving. Yes? And then you would try to put your idea to the innovation, to the concrete tool, with one goal only: improve your general life condition. We have this French expression that I like, and that's very picturing the idea of improving life condition. It's like removing a thorn from your foot. Not as big as this one though, but you know, sometimes you walk and you have something in the foot and it's not very comfortable. And improving your life condition, value creation, is making your life easier. It's making your life healthier. It's making your life nicer in always this idea of improving your life condition. There are a lot of things that can improve your life conditions, and possibly an infinity of things. And I guess that if I would ask each one of you, what is your ideal life condition, you would all have a different answer, because your ideal life condition would be different from her ideal life condition, from his ideal life condition, and so on. And that would be different from my ideal life condition. So we can fairly assume that progress and value creation and economic growth is infinite. Let me bring an example of value creation that you all know. The iBook. Who likes to read on the iPad versus who likes to read real book? Who likes to read on the iPad? Who prefers to read real book? That's good. Like older people. A lot of people tells me, yeah, but the iBook is a terrible invention. I say, why? Well, they tell me, you know, in the past few years, the iBook and the iPad and the iPhone and all those kind of, you know, things like Kindle, they destroyed a lot of bookstores. And you know what? This is true. They're destroying bookstores. From 2006 to 2016, half of the bookstores in the United States have closed. And the trend is the same in every country. And the trend will be the same in your country also. And it's fair to assume that in 10 years, there will be almost no more bookstores. So where is the value creation here? How is it improving life condition when we don't have bookstores? Well, if we follow our definition of value creation, we have to understand how the iBook, iPad is making my life better. If I don't have an iPad or an iBook, I need to go to walk all the way to the bookstore. I need to find the bookstore and to go to the bookstore. I need to have money with me. The bookstore needs to be open, because if it's late, and usually when people want to read it's late, the bookstore are closed. With the iPad, you just on one click can download the last book you want. If you go on holiday or if you're coming here, you probably brought with you one book, 2 books, maybe 3 books, but you're not going to take more than 3 books because it's going to be too heavy. With the iPad, you can take as many as you want. And if you're reading a book and you don't know a word, with traditional book you need dictionary, right? You need to look. Oh, okay, that's what it means. Fine, you understand. But with the iPad, you just have to double click, and you have the definition of the word. So the iBook and the iPad is improving my life condition. One thing that's improving life condition also is doing is reducing people anxiety. There is one truth among all the people, and it's true also among you, is like people don't like to make choices. Choices make people nervous. Less choice, the better. And improving life condition also means reducing this anxiety. And there is one interesting evolution, would be the evolution of cafe. Two examples. A few years ago, all cafes were like chocolatnica. For those who are not living in Russia, chocolatnica would be like a traditional cafe. You would enter, you would try to find a place where to sit, you would wait for the waitress, she would bring you the menu, you would have to decide which coffee you want, what do you want with your coffee. Then you would wait for her to come back. She would bring your order to the cashier, and then bring your order to the kitchen, and then she would bring your coffee, right? And then you would, again, ask her to bring you the bill, and so on. Now, all the cafes are more and more like Starbucks. You enter the cafe, there is no menu. Nobody's giving you a menu. Everything you can buy is in front of you. You want a juice? Pick the juice. Don't even bother the people. You want a sandwich? Take it. It's right here. Anything you need is here. No menu. And the choice is made easier because it's made more impulsive. Actually, you just wanted an espresso, but hey, like chocolate brownie, who's against, right? So you're taking the chocolate brownie with you. And when you arrive at the nice people at the counter, they don't ask you, what do you want? They ask you want a latte, an Americano, or a cappuccino? Cappuccino. Small, large, or medium? Medium. And actually, do you know why they say small, large, or medium, and not small, medium, or large? Because they make more money on the medium, and they said the last one they say it's the medium, because they know that people have a tendency always to pick the last choice. Yeah. Okay? Starbucks, whatever you think it's a good coffee or not, is taking care of us. It's improving our life condition, and this is why we're going there. It's reducing our choices, but in a way that is beneficial for us, because it was kind of bringing anxiety to make choice, even in a cafe. And this is why Starbucks is popular. This is why you have the same thing with Costa Cafe now. And if you go to London, for example, you have this Nero Cafe, and so on. So I hear, you're telling me, yes, it's easy because I'm taking example from Starbucks on the iPad, and you can tell me fairly, yes, we see where is value creation, because already we know those kind of things. And same thing for instant taxi, Uber, right? So if we think, about Starbucks, Uber, and the iBook, there is still a way for value creation. There's still a way. Some might be technically possible, some might not be profitable, but there is always a room for value creation. So let's think together. How would you improve Starbucks? What would you do? One first example would be to pay by phone, right? Instead of taking cash from your pocket. What else? What else would you do to improve Starbucks?
Why buy the coffee beans?
Sorry?
Why buy the coffee beans?
Yes. Why not? What else?
To make an app.
To make?
An app in Apple Store, maybe.
An app? And what would the app do?
Maybe you can order your coffee from the app, not to stay in the queue.
That's a very good one. It's a very good one. It's probably going to come in the future. What else?
Maybe hire people who are polyglots, because when they write our name, they don't pick the right letters.
I agree. You know what? They always spell my name wrong. I hate that. So when I order a coffee in Russia, I give a Russian name because my name Gerald, they don't know how to spell it. That's a good one. But that would be very expensive. Because if you hire polyglots, in the end you have to pay them more because they have a higher value in the market. What else can we do all together to improve Starbucks?
To buy more coffee.
Sorry?
To buy more coffee.
I didn't hear you.
To buy more coffee.
To buy more coffee. But from Starbucks' point of view, how do you improve their business? Yes?
Maybe to invent like a Starbucks card, which provides you like a discount, and when people who work there, when they like cross the card to the machine, the card gives them your name, so they know what's the right of the company.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think there is already like a discount card in Starbucks, which I do not use, but I think there is one. If you think about how to improve a business, you have to think first about what is bothering people the most. And you told it, people, they don't write our name right, unless your name is John, which is not the case of everybody. And you hate to do Q, right? So if you also think about Starbucks, you can realize that Starbucks people basically are always going to Starbucks at the same time. They go to work or they go to university, and when they come, they see Starbucks and they buy the coffee on the way. Okay? So one way to improve it, wouldn't it be, and I don't know if that's profitable, I don't know if that's possible, but you have, when I walk close to Starbucks at 9:00, somebody already waiting for me and say, hey Gerald, this is your latte, thank you. Oh, it's already on your card with your name on it. That would be a nice innovation. What about Uber? How can we improve Uber? Do you know what is Uber?
Yeah, of course.
Yes?
As for me, sometimes I cannot pay by card and I need to pay by cash.
Why do you need to pay by cash? Because the card doesn't work for any reason?
Or maybe there is no money, but I need to get a taxi and the Uber is the most convenient one.
So they could give you the option.
Yes.
And that's very easy, technically easy to do and not complicated to do, but there is a big problem. Uber doesn't earn any money if we do that, because they take a percentage on whatever we pay. How else can we improve Uber? Who has an idea?
Do they have service in all different languages? For example, I am from Russia, and I'd like to speak with a Russian driver.
Well, if you're in Russia, you would have a Russian driver for sure. But if you're traveling somewhere else, you would have a driver from their own nationality. So that would not be possible. But what they're ready, because they thought about that, is when you arrive and you sit in the taxi, you can put your destination address. You don't have to speak with the driver. What else? Yes?
It's old text should include option the silent driver.
A silent driver.
Silent driver.
It's an amazing idea.
Sometimes I don't like.
I love the idea,
Silent or talkative, as you want.
Or talkative, yeah. You would just have your application and you said you want the driver to speak with you about something, or you're not in the mood to speak at all. Shut up. Shut up, Autier. Like you change your mind after? Okay. How else? Wi-Fi inside the car, it's a very good idea because...
It's already in the Uber Black, I guess.
Oh really? I don't, I'm not sure about that. You're like the charger, but you don't have Wi-Fi. What else do you have as an idea? My simple idea, because I use Uber usually when I'm going to meeting with clients. And obviously I have about 10-15 minutes to use Uber. And what else can I do? I make my phone calls. But that would be nice if I could, clean my shoes when I was in Uber, because I have time for that. I want to use my time. So they could have sort of like cleaning shoe services for men and maybe makeup, something for women, like if you would have a mirror, you would have time to do your makeup. That would be an amazing idea. We have to know if that's profitable and if that's technically possible. How would we improve the iBook? Any idea? It's already well designed. We're talking about things made by Apple. These are the product that has probably the most beneficial companies in the world. So if you find ways to improve those companies, I can tell you for sure your future is going to be great. Yes?
Maybe the app can read for you?
Can read for you? Yeah, why not? Maybe sometimes you're too tired to read, but you want to finish the story. That'd be nice. Yes?
I just want to ask, does the iBook have reading mode, so like the Kindle? So in terms of, so that it's not bright on your eyes, does the iBook have that?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, why
No,
not?
I don't.
One more idea. Well, one thing, of course, that needs to be improved on the iPad is the battery. Because the battery of the iPad is like 20-something hours, and on iPhone it's terrible. I mean, let's have a check. What time is it? Like 1 o'clock?
No.
Oh, 73%. And see, I'm even satisfied with 73% and I didn't use my phone today. This is something that needs to be improved. So, the objective of value creation, I repeat it one more time, is to make the life of people better. Okay? Value creation is made usually through work. That could be mechanical work, like cutting a tree. And that could be creative work, like creating a logo. Okay? But it's not always asked by customer. I hear sometimes people say, yeah, but is there a need for that? You don't need a need of people to improve their life condition. Sometimes people will not express the need because that would be too far from their mind. You know, there is this famous Henry Ford said one day, if I would have listened to the people, I would have given them faster horses and not car. People wanted faster horses. And one other very interesting idea is the ATM. It's probably one of the greatest inventions of last century. You know, all of you know what is an ATM, right?
No.
Just checking. Okay, and ATM is an automatic telling machine where you can get some cash. And before the ATM, how people would do? They would line up at the bank and they would wait for some money. Obviously, the bank had to be open because after 6 o'clock, you could not get any cash. And in the weekend, on Sunday, you could not get any cash. And when you were waiting in line, you were waiting in line with the people that wanted a loan to buy a house, people that wanted an investment advice to invest money, people that wanted to put cash in the bank. So you would lose a lot of time. And nobody came and said, I need an automatic telling machine, please. That's not how it happened. It happened in the way that somebody looked at all those people waiting in line and said, but look, all those people waiting in line, they're just here to take cash. Wouldn't it be improving their life condition if that would be like a mechanical person, an automatic telling machine, that would give them cash to them here, right here. And then they thought, if it's here, it can even be outside. That way they can access to their bank accounts all the time. And it's beneficial for people because you can have cash whenever you need. It's also beneficial for the bank because they make money when you use more your account. Of course, if you have a brilliant idea, and I'm sure you will have brilliant idea, it's a good thing, but that's not enough, okay? If you create value for one person, we still have a problem. If you want to be successful, you have to create value for a lot of people. And this, a lot of people, we call it a market. So let's try to understand markets. How much time do we have left again?
35 minutes.
35 minutes.
No, 45.
45 minutes, so we're fine. Let's come back to Robinson Crusoe, right? Let's think about this island and let's say that for thousands of years there has been economic development in the island. There is everything, there is different kind of activities, different kind of leisures, different kind of food, even in employment, people are not working, okay? One day, there is a friendly ship that arrives from a country they never heard about before. The country name is Japan. The fish arrives, and they don't know what is Japan, they never heard of it. The fish arrives, and those friendly people, they come with a new culinary experience. They call it sushi. Okay? So the people of our island, they try it. They think it's healthy. They think it's even healthier than the other food they have. They think it's nice to eat. It's tasty. So they start to widespread this culinary experience, do sushi among the island. And very soon there are people that think, hey, I can create my own sushi shop. I just need to be trained to know how to make sushi, right? This will create growth. This will open new restaurants, and that would even reduce unemployment. It would be profitable if we have enough people eating the sushi, right? To make one restaurant or chain of restaurants, or even many chain of restaurants live. So that would be the market. That would be the market. Obviously, this is improving people's life condition. The sushi is improving our life condition. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be eating sushi. How? Well, it makes our life healthier, it makes our life nicer, and it's quite in fashion to go to eat sushi. I mean, less now than before, but still a little bit. And for the business to be successful, you need to improve the life condition of a lot of people. And we can even say, the more people you improve the life condition of, the more your business will be successful. Let's take the example of countries. If we look at the GDP per capita of some random country, I really picked them randomly, you will see that there are quite very important differences, for example, between the United States with $55,000 per capita and Indonesia, $3,500 per capita. What does it mean in terms of value creation? This is very interesting. Well, it means that for Indonesia to have economic growth, they do not need innovation. They just need to copy what other countries are doing. Like the ship bringing the sushi. They just have to look at what's working in another country and copy it right here. This is why actually emerging markets today have a higher growth than other markets. And of course, some of this innovation might not be possible because of cultural differences. You know, I'm not sure that sushi works everywhere. Because of religion, sometimes religion would work and would have like some things that are forbidden in some countries. Okay? Maybe because of legislation. Some law would prohibit you to use this kind of product or to put taxes on some other country national production. But what is interesting here is we understand that for a nation to have economic growth, if the GDP per capita is very low, all they have to do, they don't have to innovate. All they have to do is to look at what is working somewhere else. Why in the United States, for example, which has one of the highest GDP per capita nation, they have to find their own innovation, and that's actually what they're doing, right? Of course, they can still take some innovation from Italy, even from Indonesia, that's possible. But most of their economic growth will come from their own innovation. We can define four kinds of markets. Four kinds of market. We have the geographic market. The geographic market would be countries, that would be places, that would be languages. Example of geographic market, you would have a bigger market for beer in Germany and a bigger market for wine in France. You have demographic market. Demographic market would be gender, that would be age, that would be financial income. Like for example, you have a bigger market with high financial income for BMW, and you have Mini Cooper is more for women. You have the behavioral market, that would be the habits of people. Some people like to buy online, while some people would never buy online. And you have the psychographic market. Psychographic market are more related to lifestyle, for example, to beliefs. One example would be, I mean, it's a little bit less the case now, but before business people used to have BlackBerry, while young urban professionals would prefer iPhone. So when you're trying to assess an investment and to assess the market, you have to ask yourself, who is this investment for? Understanding the market, who is it for? Am I improving the life of enough people? So let's try quickly to have a look at those different companies, and I want you to tell me, who is it for? Who is Starbucks for? Yes?
For hiring people.
For what?
For hiring people.
Hiring people? Yes, that's true, but some people, like to sit down also in Starbucks. That would be true. Yes, what else?
For people who is going to
Students?
their work. People who are going to their work in the morning.
People who are going to their work in the morning. Well, one thing we can say about Starbucks is that the coffee is quite expensive. In my opinion, it's like $4 for a coffee, seriously. Or are you kidding? What else?
I guess they have a very narrow market. That might be trendsetters, or people who chase trends, or anything like that. Because, like, if you have some good subscription for Starbucks, they every time tell you that if they have a new frappuccino, and you go straight to Starbucks, try it and share it, and all those photos with Starbucks in the big cities have become very popular nowadays.
You understand it totally right, actually. There's something very important in what you said. It's like, when you define your market, and I'm coming back to you, when you define your market, you have to know who are the early adopters. Who will be the first people to use your product? And we will see it after on others, and we will see why it's important. Yes?
We know that nowadays Instagram application is popular.
Uh-huh.
And people like to post photos of food and coffee and everything. And Starbucks is a really good brand for that, because I went once in a lifetime to Starbucks just to take a photo of the coffee.
Yes, but it's not people who take a picture of their Starbucks coffee. It's more young people, and mostly young women, actually. Okay, who is Uber for?
For travelers.
Travelers? Who else? Business people? Yes, fine, that's a good definition. Who is Facebook for?
Almost everybody.
For who? Now it's for everyone, right? But at the beginning, was it for everyone? It was, yes, for university students. That's how it started, and it widespread for international people that had friends everywhere. And at the time, when I first used Facebook was in 2007, we used Facebook. Actually, it was a big competition called something like High Five or something like this, I think.
Yeah.
Still popular, you don't know.
High five.
And
MySpace.
And we used Facebook because I was living in South America, and my only chance to be in touch with the people living in France or in other countries was to use Facebook. Now Facebook is not for those kind of people, because we have a lot of applications for those kind of people. Now it's for everybody. Okay? Tesla. Yes?
I guess this is one more product for very early adopters that catch the trend, that how important is it to take care of the environment you're living in?
Exactly. This is exactly who is Tesla for. Tesla is for people that are environmental conscious. Yes?
It's like $100,000 car, which can only...
They have cheaper now, 35 also.
Yeah, which can only go up to 200 miles per hour.
That's very slow.
Last not more than 10 or 15 hours of drive. That's not enough.
Yes, but again, they are now targeting a very small niche market. And flat TV, who is it for at the beginning? Who was it for? Now everybody has a flat TV, because you can go to the supermarket and try to find those, I don't know if you met those big TV with the large like this, and you need to find place between the wall and the TV, because they were so big. Now it's only flat TV, of course. But at the beginning, flat TV were for people that like to watch movies and people that like to watch football. Only those people had flat TV. Okay? Now everybody has flat TV. Okay? So what is very important is what you said. First, in a product, you have to find your early adopters. The first people that will use your product. You have to know who is your product for. And then you can be Facebook. then you can be flat TV. Yeah, then you can be for everybody. But if you start with your investment and you tell me this is for everybody, I tell you right away, this is not going to work. So, something is interesting is sometimes I hear and I read here and there, and I want to share it with you, people with their prediction on the market. And they tell you, this is going to work, this is not going to work. Usually people say this is not going to work. Okay? So let's have a very quick look at some famous prediction that I like. The first one is, don't invest in car. There will always be horses. Most important is, who said that? The Michigan bank president. So you know, if you were at this bank, by the way, the bank doesn't exist, no wonder why. If you were in this bank and the car would say, no, don't invest in car, it's useless. Who uses car anyway? Okay? There will never be more than 10 computers working at the same time on Earth. Very interesting quote, right? Well, the problem is the one that said that was Tom Watson, the president of IBM. You might say, yeah, but that was 1943. Yes, but he was the president of IBM for like 30 years.
You got fired?
Sorry?
You got fired for that? Did he get fired for that?
No, he didn't get fired for that. I will show you after other people are got fired. Stocks have now reached a permanently high plateau. You know, not only plateau, but a permanently high plateau. That was Irving Fisher, the world's most renowned economist in 1929. 3 days before the crack. So next time you hear the prediction of an economist, think again. Next one. Japanese car will never enter American market. Today, Japanese car is about 36% of the American market. And that was Business Week. All right? This is for famous prediction. If you don't have a market, you can create your own market. Just have to check that it's profitable. And we can take examples. But before that, maybe you heard about this book, Blue Ocean Strategy? Somebody heard about this book? It was one of the most popular business book of the past 10 years, and I would highly recommend you to buy Blue Ocean Strategy. And this book claimed that business leaders of the futures, they will not beat competition. They will create their own market. They will create their blue ocean. Okay? To do that, you have to redefine your market. You have to find a specific niche of people. And if we think again about food delivery, okay? There is a market that I don't know if there is a business like that, and you would tell me, but is there food delivery for students? Specifically for students? You know, because when I was a student, it was more important for me to check the price than to check the quality. So there is probably a business idea behind that. And I can take another example. Another example would be haircut salon. I mean, of course we have haircut for men, haircut for women, but what about haircut salon for senior people, for old people? I mean, they have specific way to improve their life and their condition. Senior people like to take their time wherever they are, you know? Usually when they queue somewhere, they're always just right in front of them. They take their time all the time. Okay? One more idea is this story someone told me of a very successful lawyer in California that was specialized on motorcyclists that were injured by a car. It was not like the lawyer doing all kind of legal procedure. He was doing just one. I help you if you're a motorcyclist and you're having a car accident. This is where I help you. Very niche, but very successful. Okay, we are almost coming to the end of our secret formula. We spoke about the value creation, removing the thorn from the foot. We spoke about market, understanding that you have to create value not for one people, but for a lot of people, and you have to know who you're doing it for. Now we're going to try to understand the risks. In other words, the due diligence. All right? What is a due diligence? Due diligence is trying to know everything there is to know about a company on legal, financial, material, the process of production, the marketing, even the management of the company. It's answering three kind of questions. What, who, and how. What is the product? What is the benefit? What is the quality? Who will manage it? And how will they be recruited? Who will be recruited? Who are the clients? Who are the providers? How the plan will be executed? How the money that we as investor will give you will be used? How the goal will be met? The due diligence answers one global question. What are the risks of the business? Okay? How do we measure risk? Everyone in this room have a different appreciation of the risk. It's called risk aversion. We will do a little test game. Do you know who is Daniel Kahneman? Daniel Kahneman is a Nobel Prize of Economy, I think, in the past 5 years. And he gave us a very nice experience to measure risk aversion, especially for investors, because now today we're all investors. You have to choose between two options. Listen carefully because sometimes people don't get the nuance. The first one is A. Okay? A. You choose between earning $90, 100% sure. I repeat. You earn $90, 100% sure. Or B. You earn $100, 90% sure. You'll get the difference, right? I repeat. A. $90, 100% sure. Or B. You earn $100, 90% sure. Who picks B? Who picks A? Who doesn't want dollars? I repeat. Who picks A? Who picks B? Interesting. Now, you have to choose between losing, not earning, losing $90, 100% sure. You lose $90, 100% sure. Or you lose $100, 90% sure. Who picks A? Who picks B? Much more B. Well, what Daniel Kahneman is telling us is when people have the possibility to earn, they don't want to take risk. Okay? So when they have possibility to earn, they would more pick A on the first questions. Okay? But when they face to lose, they want to take a risk. When people face to lose money, they want to take a risk. What does it mean? It means they want to avoid the certainty of losing. And this is especially true for investors. This is why Daniel Kahneman concludes that it's important that investors will always choose the option of not losing money. And you will too. Which kind of risk? Well, we have several kinds of risk. I want to take a few examples. Product risk is the risk that your product might fail to satisfy customers. I didn't know that the general partner of the event was Coca-Cola, so it's not, on purpose. Because I know you have a conference with Coca-Cola, so don't bring this example to him that might reveal some old ones. So Coca-Cola in 1985 decided to launch the new Coke. Here it is, that you never knew, even I didn't know. Obviously, they were messing with they were forgetting this very famous sentence, never mess with a winning formula. Why did they launch the new Coke? Because Pepsi was earning a lot of market share. So they changed the Coke in order to make it closer to Pepsi, which is like a terrible idea. And it was a terrible idea. So after a few months, they had to withdraw the product because they lost a lot of market share with that. Okay? Wrong product risk. The market risk. It's the risk that there is no market for your product. One very famous example is the Segway, actually. Segway is becoming popular now, but it was invented 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, when the cigarette was invented by a guy named Dean Kamen, everybody was telling us this would revolutionize the way people walk in cities. The media, the journalists, even people like Steve Jobs were saying this is the best invention ever. Probably didn't think about the iPhone yet. Okay? And the product is terrific. It's a great product. I don't know if you tried, but it's great. I mean, to walk in the cities. But the problem is, in 2001, nobody bought Segway. They sold 100 units. And for 10 years, nobody used this product. It's only in 2011 that a businessman brought back Segway to life. And now it starts to work. I mean, some people are using Segway here and there. If you go to Miami, the cops are in Segway. If you go to Prague, all people, the guy that help you with the Segways, even in Rome, everywhere there are Segways. It was the right product, but the wrong timing of the market. One very interesting example also is in management risk. The management risk is the risk that your management is not qualified. And I'm taking Bank of America as an example. They're not sponsored here, because they made a very terrible mistake. In 2011, they decided to charge $5 people every time they would withdraw money from the bank. $5. You would take $10, you would give actually $5 to the bank. Terrible idea. And they thought, nobody has the time to complain. Nobody wants the hassle to complain about that. This is a great idea, we're going to make a lot of money. You were wrong, guys. People started to complain. And not only they started to complain, they regrouped in association and they started the Change Your Bank Day. And a few weeks after the announcement of the $5 charge, people were starting to leave this Bank of America by a lot. And what did they do? They had to change their strategy. They had to drop this ridiculous idea. And the management was fired, by the way. Terrible management idea. Political social risk is the risk that external event in the country will impact your business. One great example, and not so well-known example, is Canada. Is any one of you here from Canada? Picking the wrong country. Okay, Canada in 1970s, you know, the economic capital of Canada is Toronto. In 1970, the economic capital was Montreal. Okay, so how did it become Toronto? Toronto was a very small city at the time. Well, it's quite simple. In 1970, the government of Quebec, where is Montreal, which is French-speaking, more French-speaking people, decided to make French compulsory for all business. They said, you're living in Quebec, you have to speak French. So the bank started to think, we're banks. We're talking about finance, international finance. So they started to leave to the closest neighboring city, which was Toronto, very close in Ontario. And this is how Montreal lost its position as economic capital of Canada to Toronto. The law made the business fly away. Climate risk is the risk that unfavorable climate conditions might decrease the business activity. One very simple example would be agricultural business. It's very clear. I'm not going to speak too long about that. Currency risk. Currency risk is the risk that a change in the currency rate would affect the business outcome. When we speak about risk, we do not speak only about bad risk. Let's take the example of the Brexit, right? What kind of business, in your opinion, can benefit right away from the Brexit, from the fact that the pound decreased by 15% right after the Brexit? Yes?
It's like huge investment funds like George Soros who like...
That would be, I'm looking for very simple business. Because George Soros fund, the quantum fund has, you know, a lot of activity and is more speculation than business. Very simple business production that you have in the UK is whiskey, actually. Most of the whiskey of the planet is produced in the UK. So the fact that the currency depreciates is a good news for whiskey owner and for whiskey drinker, okay? Because the whiskey is going to get cheaper. One of the main risks of the investor are obviously all the financial risks. So you have to understand all the financial statement. You have to know what is the profit, how do you make profit, what are the costs, how can you can reduce the cost, and what is the return on investment, which is gain from investment minus cost of investment on cost of investment. But I think you already know that. All right, we almost at the end of this interesting session. And you have now the basic of how to make the right investment decision. We need to create value, okay? Or if we are offered investment, we need to know where is the value creation. We need to understand if there is an existing substantial market, okay? And we need to understand what are the risks of the business and how can we reduce the risk of the business. Obviously, maybe one day you might have to convince investors. So you have all the necessary information for that. But there is one quality that you need to be able to convince investors, one quality. And I want to do a quick test with you to know if you have this quality to convince investors. I want all of you to take a piece of paper, a new piece of paper, and you will write the answer to the following question. The question will be on the slide. You write one or maximum 2 words. You don't need to write an essay. I will not take the paper, okay? You will show it to me only. I will not take the paper. You write the answer to the following question. Everybody's ready? It's not a speed test anyway. The question is the following.
Is it one question?
It's one question. It's very simple. Question is the following. And the answer to this question will give me the answer to know if you can be good at convincing investors. Question.
Can you tell us about the requirements? A very short answer, right?
One word.
One word?
Question is here already. Which animal is the biggest liar? Which animal is the biggest liar? Don't speak to your neighbor. You don't need to speak to your neighbor. He doesn't know. But think about all animals you know and think which one is the biggest liar. I give you about 30 seconds for that. The people that write rabbit have a very low imagination, by the way. Which animal is the biggest liar? Do you all have the answer?
Yeah.
Now I want you to show me the paper. Just show me the paper. And I'm going to come a bit closer. And you know what is interesting? I don't care about your answer. What do I care about is the size of your writing. So I see people that have very small writing and people have very big writing. And I said to you, I will not take the paper, you will show it to me, right? What does it mean? Well, of course we're going to think line by line, because I understand that people in the back have a bigger writing than people in the front. But even on the same line, you can look at the writing of each other and you will see it's very different. What does it mean? Well, people that have a big writing have a tendency to take into account the point of view of their interlocutor. You thought about me when you were writing. You thought about the fact that I'm here when I speak, and you thought about the fact that you need to write big enough for me to be able to read, because I said I'm not going to take the paper, you're going to show it to me. And those people, potentially, are better at convincing people, because they take into account the point of view of their interlocutor more often. And those people, by the way, are also better liars. So those liars are the one who have the biggest writing. Yes, I'm smiling because you have such a big writing. All right. I don't know if you had this very interesting speech this morning with the lady from Israel of conflict resolution, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is the same idea. You need to be able to put yourself in the shoes of other people if you want to understand them, if you want to convince them. Let me finish with a story. Very simple story that is directly linked to the beginning of our little talk. In the 15th century, the most famous Italian sculptor was Agostino d'Antonio at the end of the 15th century. And one day he was given a giant piece of stone, of marble. And he was told to produce something beautiful out of it. He worked for a month. He worked for years. And he was the most brilliant, the most famous at the time. And he came to the conclusion that it's impossible to do something with this piece of stone. Believe me, I'm Agostino d'Antonio. So the stone was put aside for a few years when a second sculptor came and tried to work on these stones. And after a few weeks, he came to the same conclusion. It's impossible to work with this stone. A few years passed, and a new sculptor, a third one, came to this stone. He was not famous at all at the time. His name was Michelangelo. And the name of the stone is David, one of the world's finest sculpture masterpieces. If you know what you do, and if you know what you do it, things will come naturally. Thank you very much. If some of you want to stay connected, I put yourself all my information. If you have questions in the future, don't bother and write them down, no problem. I think we still have 5-10 minutes. If you want to take a picture of me, I'm here. If you want to take a picture of you, I don't know. Question?
Yeah, can we do questions, please? I'd like to ask you about your most successful investment throughout your career and the worst one.
All right. So I could give you a very easy answer and tell you my most successful investment is education. But I think you want a more concrete answer.
Yeah. With digits.
Yeah. Okay. So when I will finish the story of the first multimillionaire I met. What happened after the meeting? He offered me a job. Actually, he gave me the possibility to be in the top, one of the top executives of his bank. It was a very good offer. And at the time, 10 years ago, I was 26. So obviously, this is not an offer you can refuse. But I refused. And I created my own business. And this is my best investment. And as we spoke in the beginning, to answer the second part of your question about the worst investment, we know that investment is not always in terms of money, it's also in terms of time. And like all of you, I hate to lose time on things like queuing and everything like this. So I can tell you that my worst investment happened every day when I lose my time, too much of my time. All right? More questions? Yes?
Actually, I really wanted to listen to your view about the question you gave us, the biggest layer among the animals here.
Yes.
So what do you see? Because we have, of course, we have various answers, but I think what I wrote human being is the biggest animal, is the biggest layer. How can you comment about?
Oh, I will comment very easily. I mean, I gave you this question because there is no answer. I mean, you can put human being fine. I mean, animals are not liars. I don't really care about the answer. What was important was the size of the writing. So, is there an animal that is a liar? I don't know. That would be a very interesting question, actually. Let's give it human being. I would be fine with this answer. Yes? I didn't say they were more liars. I said they are tendency to be better liars. Okay? So the reason is the following: is when I asked the question, I told you you will show me the paper. Yes? And people that show me the paper with big writing, when they started very fast in a half of a second to write, they thought about me, and they thought he is far away. He needs big writing to read. People that wrote small writing, they thought about themselves. They think, okay, I'm gonna write snake. I saw someone putting snake or elephant. And they wrote small writing. People that had big writing were thinking about me, so they were taking into account my point of view, my position, okay? And the people that take into account their counterpart position, their counterpart situation, have a tendency to be better at convincing. This is one. So they will do great in sales, because when you speak naturally, you think of what the other one is thinking. You're trying to see through his eyes. But also, if they need to lie, I don't say they would lie, but if they need to lie, they are better liars, because for the same reason, they take into account the position, the point of view of their counterpart. That's it? Yes?
Hello, my name is Yuri, and I would like to ask you a question. How many business deals did you do in Russia?
As I told you, I'm advising people on investing money. So if by business deal you mean investing money, I can answer it.
Advising.
Yeah, advising. That would be about, I'm living here since 2009, which is like, very soon would be 7 years. And you can find about 15, 20 years just in Russia. That would be 100? Yeah.
Thanks.
More question? About investment or about animals that are lying? Well, in that case, you're free. Thank you very much.